Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new to my channel, please click the subscribe button below and put a like. Today I will be telling a story about the Holy Baba Sali. Chapter 1. A Tzaddik is Born. The good news spread quickly in the village of Trifat, in North Africa country of Morocco. A baby boy had been born to Rav Masud Abu Khatsera. The joy was great on that Rosh Hashanah day in 1889. For 24 years had passed since the birth of Rav Masud's oldest son, Rabbi David. All the great rabbis of the surrounding area gathered together for the bris of the little boy, and he was named Yisrael. Everyone prayed that this child merited to be a great Talmid Chacham like his father and grandfather before him, and that he would be another link to the chain of holiness that was the Abu Khatsera family. His mother knew that the child did not become holy from one moment to the next, and that she would have to protect little Yisrael from evil and allow him near to see only that which was good and pure. If she hoped for him to be a tzaddik, she followed in the footsteps of the mothers of tzaddikim from long ago, who brought cradles of their babies to the Beis Midrash to hear the words of Torah. Little Yisrael's mother was lucky. She did not have to go far, as her husband had a yeshiva right in their home. The child grew up surrounded by people with Yirat Shamayim. Yisrael quickly mastered the Aleph Bais and reading. Soon he was studying Chumash with great consideration. His parents were happy to see their child growing in his understanding and developing a closer relationship with Hashem. Yisrael carefully observed the behavior of his father's uncles and brothers. He wanted very much to be like them. He saw that they went to the mikvah while it was still dark and prayed at sunrise. The local mikvah was very deep under the ground. One had to walk down many steps with a candle, providing the only light. Embracing in the mikvah was often very difficult, especially in the winter when the water was sometimes frozen, but problems like these never prevented the Abu Khatsera family from immersing in the mikvah. Yisrael was still a child, but he decided that he too wanted to begin embracing in the mikvah. He sunk there one morning after the others had left and embraced himself. Yisrael felt a special holiness enveloping him, and he decided that he would go to the mikveh every day. It wasn't long before his secret was discovered. "Where is Yisrael?" Yisrael's mother asked her husband early one morning. "He isn't in bed?" "No, I could tell that he washed Netilas Yadayim and got dressed, but I have looked all over the house and cannot find him." "Did he go to the Beis Midrash?" Rav Masud asked. "That was the first place I checked." Rav Masud looked thoughtfully. "We will question him when he returns from wherever he went." Moments later, in front of the door opened slowly, and Yisrael quickly tiptoed in. He stopped abruptly when he saw his parents. His father noticed his son's frozen pious and red face. "You have been in the mikvah." It was a statement, not a question. Yisrael had nothing to say. He had been caught. "Tell him it is dangerous," Yisrael's mother said to her husband. "Tell him he's too young." Yisrael looked like he was trying not to cry. But, how can I start my day without going to the mikvah?" Rav Masud thought about the mikvah's sharp steps cut into the rocky earth. He thought about the shockness impact of the icy water on the warm body. These things were particularly dangerous. "Your mother is right, Yisrael," Rav Masud said. "Your body is not ready to deal with the icy waters of the mikvah just yet." "But father, I have been going to the mikvah for a month now, and you can see that it has not harmed me. Please, I feel like I need to continue this practice." Israel had been embracing in the frigid mikvah for months already, at such a tender young age, and he so badly wants to continue, submitting his body to the kind of shiver including experience. Rav Masa looked at his son with new respect in his eyes. It is late now, Yisrael, and we must begin Shachris. We will discuss this again later. Later in the day, Rav Masa told his son, "Your mother and I have agreed that you may continue to go to the mikvah, but never alone." Yisrael nodded happily, relieved that his daily immersion in the mikvah would not have to stop. Although Yisrael rarely left his home, one day he got involved in an argument with a group of boys who were not behaving. Later, he told his father about it. "I know that they were wrong, and I told them so, but they weren't interested in listening to someone their own age. I didn't care that they were ignoring me, but I knew that I had to stop what they were doing." "What did you do?" Rav Masud wanted to know. The child hesitated a moment. "I cursed the boy who was the leader." His father sadly shook his head. "Israel, a mouth must never be used to hurt others. Words have power. You must train yourself to always use your mouth for the good of others, to help them and to bless them. When you see someone behaving badly, say tefillah on their behalf." Yisrael nodded. He understood the wisdom in his father's words. His father continued, "If you learn this lesson well, and you use your mouth only for Torah and tefillah, then one day Hashem will give your words power, and your blessings will be fulfilled." Israel never forgot what his father taught him. More than anything, he wanted to become a great tzaddik like his father and older brother. He watched them carefully so that he would learn to do as they did. He didn't have to be taught how important it is to study Torah, for he saw his father, uncles, and brother eagerly embrace into tefillah or studying every minute of the day and for the most of the night too. He wondered why he hardly saw his father or brother eating. Later, he discovered that it was because they often fasted for the entire day, eating only at night. Israel began to train himself to fast this way too. He started with short fasts by skipping meals. When he was 12 years old, he decided to undertake week-long fasts. During the week of Shavuot, eating only at night. However, one day he was discovered. It was Erev Shabbos, and Israel was on his way to the mikvah. He had been fasting during the day and eating at night all week long. For quite a while, suddenly he bumped into his brother David. "You look terrible, Israel. You got so skinny," David said. "Look closely at his younger brother. Are you feeling all right?" Yisrael was so weak that he could barely nod. David looked at Yisrael again. He realized that his younger brother was at the end of a weekly fast. "You shouldn't be fasting, for you are pure," he explained. "You don't have sins, and therefore you do not need to do teshuvah by fasting. There is time when you get older to start doing these kinds of things." Yisrael listened but said nothing. He would soon be bar mitzvah, but he didn't feel ready for the huge responsibility that being a bar mitzvah meant. He felt that he needed the fasts too properly to prepare himself for the special day. Israel learned another important lesson. Whenever he observed his father pull his hands covering over his eyes whenever he went out, his father did not be sure that he would not see anything forbidden. Israel had already learned how important it is to be careful with what he said. With time, it came to understand how important it was to make sure you don't see anything impure. He realized that he could not grow in holiness unless he used his eyes for Torah and mitzvahs only. When Yisrael reached bar mitzvah age, he joined his father's yeshiva. Although he was much younger than the other students there, the yeshiva kept a tough schedule. The boys' day began at midnight. When they awoke, washed their hands and said Tikkun Chatzos, sitting on the floor and mourning the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash. Then they studied their Zohar secrets of the Torah until it was time for Shacharis. They embraced themselves in the mikvah and prayed the morning tefillahs. After Shacharis, they studied Koach, a little bit of many different studies, and ate breakfast. This was followed by intestines, Gemara study, and then Mincha and Ma'ariv. Afterward, they learned halachas and shechona arit until they fell asleep, only to wake up again in the midnight to study the next day. Israel never said anything to himself. I don't need to keep the same daily schedule as others, for I'm so much younger than them. For the start, he did as the others did. Just as he had learned to eat little, he got used to sleeping not very much. During his teens, as Israel continued to grow in Torah, he also mastered many particular skills, such as shechita, milah, and so forth. He was able to write his own Sefer Torah, from which he revealed the Parsha every Erev Shabbos. Knowing how to perform the bris milah enabled him to later bring hundreds of children into the bris of Avraham Avinu. At around his time, Yisrael began to study Torah along for 24 hours straight. There was an added benefit to doing this. It enabled him to fast without anyone else knowing. Slowly but surely, as Yisrael continued to grow in holiness, he made his way through Shas. And chapter 2 will be continued in the next video. The end.